Today, for our wisdom topic for the day, I'm going to be sharing with you a reading from a book that I have been reading this week. And the topic that we're going to be talking about is difficulty in relationships, about what happens when someone says or does something that you take offense to. So think about the many different areas in your life where this might happen, whether it's in a work setting or it's in a partnership relationship or a parent-child relationship. Many different opportunities for this to happen. And so I'm going to share this reading with you, and then we'll have a little bit of discussion about it. And it's a page and a half, so just bear with me while I read it, and there might be some language in there that you're not as familiar with, so we'll talk about it as we go. When someone blames or criticizes me, that is the ego diminishing itself. So, and it will immediately attempt to repair itself through self-justification, defense, or blaming. So that's our natural response when someone says something that hurts us, that we're going to defend ourselves. So whether the other person is right or wrong is irrelevant to the ego. It is more interested in self-preservation than the truth. So how many times have you found yourself in a situation where and even this idea of right or wrong indicates a perfectionistic attitude that says that there is one right or wrong way. That's an outdated concept that has caused a lot of grief to people in trying to, accomplish the perfect way. Whether the other person is right or wrong is irrelevant. It is much more interested in self-preservation. This is the preservation of our identity of me. Even such a normal thing as shouting something back when another driver calls you an idiot is an automatic and unconscious self-defense mechanism. One of the most common, what he's calling an ego repair mechanism, is anger. So when someone hurts you, the automatic response to try to defend yourself is anger. Makes perfect sense to your ego, but it is a dysfunctional response. So those that are most extreme in their dysfunctional and physical violence and self-delusion. So what he's saying is the most extreme form of that is physical violence and hysteria, extreme narcissism, things like that are the extreme forms of this self-protection mode. So a powerful spiritual practice is consciously to allow the diminishment of ego when it happens without attempting to restore it. I recommend that you experiment with this from time to time. For example, when someone criticizes you, blames you, or calls you a name, instead of immediately retaliating, do nothing. Allow the self-image to remain diminished and become alert to what that feels like inside of you. So what he's saying is when someone says something that hurts you, to instead of immediately responding with that defense mechanism, instead sit and watch what's going on inside of you. Let no response be your response. And as you do that, you'll be able to get some really clear insights as to what is happening inside of you. Might feel uncomfortable for a bit, as if you had shrunk in size. It might feel like your mind might want to say, oh, you're going to tolerate this. You have to protect yourself. You have to stand up for yourself. But then if you stay in that space of non-response, then you may sense an inner spaciousness that feels intensely alive. You haven't been diminished at all. In fact, you have been expanded. You may then come to an amazing realization. When you are seemingly diminished in some way and remain in non-reaction, not just externally, but internally, you realize that nothing real has been diminished. Oh my gosh, sorry, I got a school. I live right by the school, and the school bus is backing up and causing all sorts of noise. Um, let that be our like alert, like pay attention to this, I think is what it's saying. So when you no longer defend or attempt to strengthen the form of yourself, you step out of identification with form and with this mental self-image. Through becoming less, you in fact undergo an expansion and make room for more being or presence to come in, and the true power, you are beyond form, can shine through the apparently weakened form. This does not mean that you invite abuse or turn yourself into a victim of unconscious people. Sometimes a situation may demand that you tell someone to back off in no uncertain terms. And without the egoic defensiveness, there will be power behind your words, yet no reaction or force. If necessary, you can also say to someone firmly and clearly, and it will be what is called a high quality no that's free of negativity. Okay, so this is an interesting way to look at conflicts by saying that what he's really saying is the conflict when someone says a hurtful word or statement to you, number one, that's an indication of what's inside of them. When you squeeze a blueberry, you get blueberry juice. When you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. When you squeeze an angry person, you get anger. Okay, so think about that, about when someone is saying something to you, it says more about them and what's happening inside of them than it does about you. And so then how do you stay in that space of not letting their words be like a barb or an arrow that lodges in your soul that you have to defend yourself from? And this is this space of non-reaction. So you stay in that space of non-reaction. You don't have to defend yourself because, for one, the words probably are not true. They might have some element of truth in them, but they're more about the state that the other person is in than about you. So staying in non-response, but noticing what feeling comes up for you. And that is then going to lead you to understand, is there something inside of you, a wound that these words are touching that needs healed? But it allows you to detach and not take things personally, and to be in a space that is really a powerful space for you to say, no, I'm not going to tolerate this in my world. Or for you just to say, thanks for sharing your opinion. I'll take it under consideration and let it be. Okay, leave me a thought. Use hashtag replay and then let me know, like, what is it that stood out to you in this conversation? And by the way, the book that I was reading an excerpt from is called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. So I hope you've enjoyed that and found some wisdom in it. Today I found so much wisdom in his work, and have a great and beautiful day.